It seems like almost exactly a year ago today, I was making a video that is probably going to look and sound exactly like this one. And there's a reason for that. That reason is because it was a year and a day ago. Today is April 30th, 2025. The Tampa Bay Lightning lose game 5 of a 5-game series to the Florida Panthers 6-3 to be kicked out of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the first round. Last year, on April 29th, 2024, the Lightning lose 6-1 in Game 5 of a 5-game series to the Florida Panthers to get kicked out of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the first round. The only difference is that this year, they were technically the home team. They very much did not feel like that. So before we go anywhere, let's go ahead and commemorate the season in, I don't remember if I did this last year or not, but, this is how we're going to commemorate seasons from here on out. To the end of the 2024-2025 Tampa Bay Lightning season, it was gone too soon, which is actually kind of thematic because this is going to sound a lot like a eulogy. Prost, sláinte, cheers. Pink Whitney, good stuff. Wouldn't mind a sponsorship from them, but I know better. So, let's talk. Lightning fans, let's talk you and me directly first, right? We'll get to the other stuff that other fan bases will want to see, will be able to interact with, will be able to make fun of me for, yada, yada. But let's talk directly for a moment. And what I intend for this to be just a straight one taker. Like, I'm letting the camera roll until I'm done talking. So who knows how long this is going to take. Lightning fans, we have been very fortunate in recent years. And I do mean extremely fortunate. The John Cooper years have been oh so good to us. We haven't missed the playoffs during John Cooper's tenure. We haven't missed the playoffs since 2017. 2018, lost the conference final. If you want to go back all the way to 2013, we've missed the playoffs one time in 12 years. That's pretty damn good. And in that time, went to 4 Stanley Cup finals in 12 years. Lost in 2015 to the Chicago Blackhawks, won in 2020 against the Dallas Stars, won back-to-back in 2021 against the Montreal Canadiens, lost in 2022 to the Colorado Avalanche, falling just short of the three-peat. Past that, went to 2 more conference finals, 2018, 2016. It's been good. It's been really freaking good. And so any complaint that I can levy against this team is ultimately set aside for the recognition that unlike many other teams in this league and in this sport, I can say that I have witnessed sustained success from my team. I have witnessed multiple championships in my lifetime and in recent memory from my team, and that is worthy of celebration. It has been a good, nay, a great decade of Lightning hockey. And I mean that in the most sincere way possible. I carry on so many memories of this team, extending even beyond that. Like, I started getting into hockey in the early 2000s, the late 1990s, when they were starting to become a real franchise. They were starting to win games, and then that magical run on their way to a Stanley Cup. I remember distinctly, I went to Game 5 in person in Tampa with my dad. They lost that game, unfortunately. But I remember watching Game 7 at home, standing up in the surrender cobra position, counting down the seconds until the cup belonged to Tampa. Fast forward to the Stanley Cup final against the Chicago Blackhawks. I was making adult money at that point. I was an actual adult at that point, and I was considering, should I drop my hard-earned adult money on Stanley Cup final tickets? Should I fly to Chicago? I lived not in Tampa at the time. Should I fly to Chicago? Should I fly to Tampa to try to go see a game? I opted not to do that. But I remember the disappointment of falling short in that series when I thought that we were the better team. And then to follow it up the next year by losing in the conference final, you thought, this is probably the end. Then you miss the playoffs. You go back to the conference final, and you lose there again. Maybe we're on our way out. And then you get swept in the first round against Columbus. And, they're about to blow this team up. And then you rattle off back-to-back cups, a trip to a third. And that leads us into what I guess is now technically the modern era of Lightning hockey in the last 3 years since the 2022 season. So all that to say that every bit of criticism that I am about to let loose here, every bit of catharsis that I'm about to have, every little nitpick that I have, justified or not, has to be tempered by this recognition that in the last 12 years, the Lightning have been outstanding. Easily one of the best teams in the league for the last decade or more. Throw it out there. And I recognize how fortunate I am as a fan who grew up with this team in my city, that got to see them playing as I was a child. That's special. You don't always get that. And I don't want to dunk on any specific franchise, but like the easy target is, there is an entire generation of Toronto Maple Leafs fans who have never seen their team win a Stanley Cup. Until recently, there's been a young generation of Toronto Maple Leafs fans who've never seen their team win a round in the playoffs. And again, that's not me dunking on them. They're just the easy target here. Lightning have been incredible for over a decade. And I feel so fortunate that I have been able to align myself and cheer for a team that has had as much success as they had. And I know that the end of the road is coming. I know that at some point, they're going to regress. They're going to rebuild. The legends of this generation are going to retire or move on to a different team, whatever the case may be. It's the nature of the sport. It's the nature of the business. It is what it is. Lightning fans, we've had it really good. So let's talk about the reality of where we are right this second. For the third year in a row, the Lightning have been bounced from the first round of the playoffs. Second year in a row in embarrassing fashion. And I think the first two times around, you had some form of excuse built into it, right? That 2023 season, that 2023 playoff run, where you played Toronto in the first round, you handed Toronto their first playoff round win in however many years, you had an excuse built in. Not only had you won back-to-back cups and gone to a third, two of those 3 seasons were condensed seasons. And by that, I mean the world stopped during that 2020 season. You had to play basically a full season. And then the playoffs didn't start until June of that year. You weren't awarded the cup until July, August. I forget exactly when it was. I have it right in front of me. I can look it up. September. You didn't start the playoffs until August. Your first game was August 3rd. You were awarded the cup on September 28th. And then you had to immediately turn around in a couple of months and start the 2021 season. Admittedly, another shortened season. But started late, started the playoffs late. Back-to-back cups. Normal season, 2022. Played all 82 games. And then you played another 20-something games in the playoffs. In 3 seasons, you played the equivalent of almost an entire another season. I think when I did the math, it was roughly 74 games that you played over the course of 3 playoff runs from 2020 to 2022. You played 74 games, 8 games short of a full-ass season. You basically played 4 seasons in the time of 3 seasons, possibly even shorter than that because of the schedule and because, the world stopped. So you had an excuse built in. Fatigue finally caught up with you. You couldn't do it forever. You lost to a very talented Toronto Maple Leafs team that I still believe you were the better team in that series, but it doesn't matter. You lost in the first round, and nobody blamed you for that. Everybody said Tampa has been so good for so long at this point. Give them a break. They can lose in the first round. 2024. You all but get swept by the Florida Panthers. You win Game 4. You barely hold on to win Game 4. And in hindsight, it's understandable because Florida wins the Stanley Cup. They prove themselves to be a juggernaut of the league, the kind of team who knows what it takes to win in the playoffs, and you were simply a stepping stone on their path to get there. So you had an excuse built in. And nobody blames you for that. Because what they did to you, they did to basically everybody along the way, except Edmonton. But even still. This year, what's the excuse this year? You're not fatigued. You're not. Because at maximum, in 2023, your players played 88 games. At maximum in 2024, your players played 87 games. Fatigue's not the issue. Maybe in hindsight, Florida goes and wins the cup again, and we say, Florida's just the latest team on their way to a dynasty. You can forgive the Lightning. They got beat by a vastly superior... I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that Florida is the vastly superior team. You can go toe-to-toe with that team every day of the week. But you only chose to do it one day of the past 5 games. That's not fair. Game 3, Game 2 was a lot closer. Game 2 was way closer. Game 3, you won. Game 4, you should have won. God, that was a heartbreaker. You did. You went toe-to-toe with them in 3 out of the 5 games. But that still doesn't win you around. You got to do it 4 times. And you got to come out on top 4 times. I don't think you have an excuse this time around. I think you got beat. And I think this one stings because you know that you were, on paper, the better team. And that you had the capacity, the capability to be the better team on the ice in all 5 of those games. Stanley Cup playoffs are hard. You're not going to win every game. It's nigh impossible to sweep series these days, right? Goodness gracious, Washington has looked like the far superior team over Montreal. They still lost a game. Sweeps are so hard in this league. Nobody expects you to go and sweep. A lot of people, myself included, expected you to put up more of a fight than you did. And look, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to bitch about the refs, about the calls, about the non-calls. I mentioned it during the stream tonight. Aaron Ekblad, absolutely, 2 games was justified. Should have been 3. Should have been 3. Because here's the deal. The Department of Player Safety with the NHL, they cannot claim to care about their players and levy punishments that do not fit the crime. And by do not fit the crime, I mean, what preventative measures are you putting in for your players to say, if you mess up, it's going to cost you? Niko Mikkola, in Game 4, throws a dirty hit on Zemgus Girgensons. $5,000 fine. Maximum allowable by the league. That equates to, if I remember correctly, 0.2% of the man's paycheck. I'd take that deal every time. You mean I don't have to miss a game, and for me to take out somebody, admittedly, a fourth liner, cheap shot. It's not like you're going after Nikita Kucherov or Jake Gensel or somebody, but all I have to pay is $5,000, 0.2% of my paycheck. I don't get a suspension, nothing. I'll take that deal every time. Aaron Ekblad lays an incredibly dirty hit on Brandon Hagel. Brandon Hagel misses game 5. Aaron Ekblad gets 2 games in a series where they are up 3-1 in game 5. You want to make it hurt? Make him sit out the rest of the round. What could have been the rest of the round? You want to drive into the minds of your players that what they do is unacceptable. Make it hurt. Make Aaron Ekblad miss potentially all 3 games during a collapse of a 3-1 series lead. That'll make him think about doing it again. But no, you give him 2 games. Absolute worst case scenario. Lightning win game 5. Lightning win game 6. Aaron Ekblad comes back. He does it again in game 7. Panthers win. And what? You give him another 2 games in the next round where he's playing either Toronto or Ottawa. He's going to do it again. That's me venting. I'm not making excuses. That's not why the Lightning lost the series. There are a bevy of reasons why the Lightning lost the series. That's me venting about why the NHL is the best sport with the worst league and the worst officiating. I will die on that hill. They need to change some stuff. Brandon Hagel absolutely deserved that suspension, by the way. He did. The major, absolutely deserved. Suspension, 100%. I won't defend him for that. Just in case anybody thinks, Sammy, you're so bad. No. It was a stupid play. Go back and watch my recap video from game 2. Game 2? It doesn't matter what game it was. I talked about it. So I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to blame the refs. I'm not going to blame bad luck. I'm going to blame the Lightning. The Florida Panthers are not an unstoppable juggernaut. They aren't. Sergei Bobrovsky is not a literal brick wall. You can get pucks past him. They are not the highest scoring team that the league has ever seen. You're not going to lose every game to them 6-0. They are human. They are a team. You are also a team made up of humans, and you can win if you put forth the effort. And you do the things that you know you need to do to win. The Tampa Bay Lightning were 2 for 18 on the power play in 5 games. Yikes. That is roughly the same percentage as the fine levied against Nico Mikkola for his hits on Zemgus Girgensons. Roughly the same percentage. It's actually lower. It's like 6%. Well, the power play was like 6%. It's not the point. It's low. It's bad. For a team that was top 5 in the league all season long in the power play, it's bad. It's not bad. It's awful. It's unforgivable. On your power play, you have, on any given night, Victor Hedman at the point, Nikita Kucherov on the right circle, Jake Gensel somewhere in the middle, probably in the bumper, Braden Point either on the left circle or in front of the net, and some combination of Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, Nick Paul over on the left circle. You were top 5 all season long, and you went 2 for 18 in the playoffs. Inexcusable. You were a top 5 team all year long in goal differential, in goals scored. And that all disappeared over the course of 5 games. Just gone. Just gone. Yeah, your defense hasn't been great as of late. You allowed 6 goals in game 1. Half of those are team defense issues, not Vasi issues. 2 goals in game 2. 1 was an empty netter. 1's a Vasi issue. You held him to 1 goal in game 3. Fantastic. That's the team we know. 4 goals in game 4. 1 is an empty netter. 2 goals in 11 seconds. Neither of which should have been a thing. And the other goal, you messed up. You're leaving players alone in front of your all-star goalie. I don't care how good your goalie is. If you leave an NHL player in front of the net, under 5 feet away, they have the capability to score more often than not. It's just the way it is. This is not junior hockey. This is not beer league. These are NHL players. You cannot leave them alone in front of your goalie. You cannot leave your goalie out to dry and expect him to rescue you every time. Yeah, Vasi, he had his really bad spots in this. Again, I maintain the game-winning goal from game 2, he saw it coming. He should have never let that goal past him. Am I going to say that all of game 2 was on him? No. But that game-winning goal, the 1-0 goal, shouldn't have gotten by him. And it's really disappointing to see. Because in my heart, I know this team is incredibly talented. I know what they're capable of. I know that on any given night, they can be, and they are, in fact, better than the Florida Panthers. But, to quote Denny Green, back in his heyday, one of the earliest sports memes that I can remember, you let him off the hook. The Panthers are who you thought they were, and you let him off the hook. Man, that hurts. It's not like years past. You didn't get beat by a vastly superior team. You didn't sneak into the playoffs just thanking your lucky stars that you're there, and then you got wrecked in 5 games. It's not that. You were competitive. You were competing for the Atlantic Division title up until, 3 games before the season's end? You were a handful of games away from playing Ottawa in the first round rather than Florida. And I, like an idiot, said I would rather play Florida because Florida is floundering and they are injury-ridden and they are a shell of themselves. They are not the team that they were last year. Give me Florida instead of Ottawa because Ottawa is going to wreck anybody that they face. And, that series isn't over. We have yet to see how that's going to end. But at least in the first 4 games, it looked like Ottawa was dead to rights. So who the hell knows? I'm 20 minutes in. I haven't even talked about this game. It doesn't really matter about this game, right? You don't lose in the Stanley Cup playoffs because of 1 game. You don't. It is a 7-game series for a reason. If you lost that series, you had no fewer than 4 opportunities to win that series. And I can point out blind spots from each individual game of what went wrong. And they're all perfectly valid. If you take those in a regular season context, they're all perfectly valid. Game 1, you lost 6-2. John Cooper says, we had a lot of players playing their first playoff game. Okay, first professional game, I get it. Jitters, yada, yada. Okay, cool. I will buy that. But Coop, it's your job to prepare them. You and your coaching staff, it's your job to prepare them for that. But okay, I'll buy it. Game 2, you lose 2-0. Pucks just weren't going our way. Why do you think that is? Is it because you're not shooting? Is it because the power play is anemic? Is it because you built a team that's based on skill and not physicality in a day and age when physicality wins in the playoffs. See Florida last year. See Vegas. See Colorado. Game 3, you won 5-1. Congratulations. Skill won out. Great. Take that momentum. Build on it. Game 4, you lost 4-2. Hell, I don't even know what went wrong in that game. That was silly. That was silly. The Lightning scored twice in 11 seconds to take the lead from down 0-1 to up 2-1. And then with under 5 minutes to go, they allowed the exact same thing to happen. The Panthers scored twice in 11 seconds to go from down 2-1 to up 3-2. I can't even nitpick and say what the thing was. Apart from the fact that I even said this during the stream, the Lightning historically, when they lose in high pressure situations, it's because they are playing to not lose. Not because they're playing to win, but because they're playing to not lose. And when you play to not lose, you make mistakes. You lose your aggression. You lose your passion. You become complacent. And you rest on your laurels, you sit on your heels, and the team that wants it more will go and get it. And that's exactly what happened in Game 4. You should have been entering this game tied 2-2. We should be looking forward to Game 6 on Friday night, but we're not. If this were one series, okay. It's now been 3. And this is the first one where you truly don't have an excuse, as I already said. Where do you go from here? What does the offseason look like? I'm of the opinion heads are going to start to roll. Because this franchise expects better. The Vinnett Group expects better. Julian Breesbaugh expects better. John Cooper expects better. The fan base expects better than what you've put on the ice the past 3 seasons in the first round. Especially this year. Again, I give you so many passes for losing to Toronto in the first round. I give you so many passes for losing to Florida in the first round last year. You don't get them this year. You don't. We were told, we were promised as a fan base that we're remaining competitive. We traded away Mikhail Sergachev, but we got young prospects in the process. J.J. Moser, he looks pretty good. Connor Geekie, he looks pretty good. All right, cool. I'll buy that. You let Steven Stamkos walk. But hey, he wanted too much money. Look, we brought Jake Gensel in. He scored 40 goals. That's worth something, right? Yeah, in the regular season. He scored the only 2 power play goals during this postseason. That's worth something. Yeah, it is. It is. Where's the veteran leadership? That's the intangible that you traded away with Steven Stamkos. I'm not in that locker room. I don't know what it's like. I don't know who's stepping up to be the voice of leadership there. I don't know who's lighting a fire under the feet of the young players. I don't have a clue. But I know it's not Steven Stamkos, who was absolutely doing that. I don't know. My gut tells me Victor Hedman's not that guy. He's more of a steady hand. I don't know. I don't think Kucherov's that guy. I don't think Gensel's that guy. I don't know. I think you lost something special in Steven Stamkos. Yeah, you replaced him with a better current day goal scorer, but what did you lose in the intangibles? That's tough. So what happens from here on out? For life of me, I don't know. We're going to go through the team postmortem tomorrow. Exit interviews for players, for coaches, for front office. Nobody's going to have any answers. Everybody's going to be disappointed. This is par for the course. The wounds are fresh. And I understand that. And you're probably going to hear a lot of the same things from them that you're hearing from me. Because if I notice it, you can sure as hell bet that they notice it. What happens in the offseason, I feel, is the beginning of the end. The end of an age of prosperity for the Tampa Bay Lightning because you haven't been able to get it done. And people are going to get impatient. Not just the fans. The Vinik Group is going to get impatient. Julien Brisebois is going to get impatient. John Cooper is going to get impatient. Players are going to get impatient. Everybody's going to start getting impatient until you start winning when it matters. John Cooper's not going anywhere this year. He's not. He's been too good for too long. He is not the problem. Julien Brisebois is not going anywhere this year. Apart from the Tanner Jeannot deal, I by and large agree with most of the moves that he has made. But he doesn't answer to me. What am I saying? The players, I don't think, are the issue either. They got warts, all of them. Nikita Kucherov, where were you in this series? I don't need you to score goals. I need you to be Nikita Kucherov. I don't need you to be Superman. And every time I saw you on the ice, you were trying to do something that was way above and beyond the Call of Duty for a player of your caliber. You need to make the smart pass. You need to make the play. You are the playmaker of the team, so make the damn play. So many times I saw him try to take it between the legs and squeeze a pass in that he had no business attempting, and it started going the other way, and sometimes it would lead to a goal instead of it being, hey, we kept the puck in the Florida zone and we kept pressure up. It's not his fault. Players weren't shooting either. Players were trying to be too fancy. Skilled teams do that. Skilled teams wait for the perfect opportunity, and physical teams like Florida don't give it to you. They don't let you get the perfect opportunity. They make you fight for it. They make you claw and scratch and bite and fight for every opportunity that you're given. And even then, you may not get it. That's why it felt like an uphill battle. You only scored first one time in this series, and it was tonight in Game 5. And every time you scored, Florida's right there with an answer, and you didn't have an answer for them. They knew how to get past you. You didn't know how to get past them. At least not easily. My gut tells me this season, this offseason, we're going to start to see some major changes. I think the assistant coaching staff is totally reworked. I've been saying for a while, the defense has not been the same since Derek Lalonde left. And I stand by that. Blasel, like he needs to be gone. He needs to be gone. The defense has not been the same since. He was ill-equipped to take that defense over. I'm sure he's a perfectly nice guy, but he does not fit this defensive system. Probably the whole assistant coaching core is gone. And people are going to start to get on thin ice. You got major contracts that need to be renewed in the near future. You got Hedman for a few more years. You got Point for a few more years. You got Kucherov for a few more years. Vasilevsky for a few more years. McDonough's towards the tail end of his career. Your fourth line is filled with veterans. Gergensons, Glendening. You're trying to develop young talent. Chaffee, Gonsalves. You signed long-term deals for some other pieces. Cirelli, Hagel, Paul. I don't know. I don't feel like the players are going to pay the price this time around, but if they do it again, they're next on the chopping block. It's assistant coaches, then it's players, then it's head coach, then it's management. This is just how it goes. You lose again next year, the Lightning are parting with big-time pieces. They're looking for a deal for Anthony Cirelli, for Yanni Gourde, for Brandon Hagel. You lose a year after that, you're considering letting go of John Cooper, or he's walking away and retiring. You lose the year after that, you're firing Julien Brisebois, and you're in free fall at that point. you lose in the first round. That's what I ultimately mean by all this. It sucks. It does. It never is a good feeling when your season comes to an end. As a player, as a fan, I've played so many sports growing up, and every time you didn't win a championship, it felt like a disappointment. I can't imagine what it feels like being paid to do that, being paid to play a sport, and falling short of that. I did it for fun. I was never going to be a professional athlete. Look at me. I'm 155 pounds soaking wet on a good day. There was no way. And I still felt the sting of disappointment when I didn't win a championship. Imagine getting paid $5, $8, $10, $12 million to be the best at your sport, the best at your position, and coming short every year. That's got to sting. Probably made a little bit better by the fact that you are making millions of dollars you will want for nothing the rest of your life, but it's still going to sting because that is what you have devoted your life to. For me as a fan, I'm not thinking about this after tonight. This is my catharsis. This is my eulogy. This is my goodbye to the Lightning season for 2024-2025. And as soon as I click stop recording on this video, I'm going to upload it to YouTube. I'm going to go make myself a burger. And I'm going to go to bed. And life goes on for me. I go back to work tomorrow. I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid to be a fan. I'm not an influencer. I am just here. And I'm vibing and I'm loving whatever I do. And tonight, it sucks. But tomorrow, I'm an adult with a job. And I got to go do what I got to go do. But there's always hope, right? Some teams say there's always next year, and you deal with that for quite literally your entire life. Ask Chicago Cubs fans. Ask teams who have never even been to a championship in their life. Ask Jacksonville Jaguar fans. I don't know anything about NBA basketball. I'm sure there's a team out there who has had a massive playoff drought or has never been to an NBA championship before. Ask them. It is what it is. This is part of the beauty of humanity, the highs and the lows. We enjoy being a part of something bigger than ourselves, including sports. And unfortunately, for me tonight, that ends for this season. And I'll pick it back up around July 1st during the draft. And when free agency kicks in, and I'll be excited again, and I'll look forward to the next 10-ish months of the 2025-2026 hockey season. And I'll see you there for that. I hope I see you there for that. Because I'll be right back here, yelling and screaming at my webcam into my microphone for your entertainment and for my catharsis. Because I love doing this. And honestly, that's not where I expected this video to go tonight. I genuinely love doing this. And I've been so fortunate as a fan and as a content creator of the smallest caliber to be able to do something like this. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of it. I know that some of you out there maybe want to experience me yell and scream and get angry about it. Go watch the Twitch VODs. They're out there. I might make a clip montage of that at some point. I might do the same highlight reel with some dumb music. I might do that again just because it gets the clicks, it gets the likes. But man, this is so much fun. How can you not love it? How can you not love sports? How can you not love giving yourself over to something that you genuinely enjoy? That's something special. I didn't expect to be in a good mood at the end of this video, but here we are. Cool. Well, I know that I have not been the most consistent this season, and there are reasons for that, most of them just generally life-related. It is my fullest intention to be back next season for officially, quote unquote, season 3 of Bolt Action following the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I hope to see you there. I hope that you enjoy what I do. If you do, great. Shoot me a message. Drop a comment. Palm slam that like button, as the kids say. I don't know what they say anymore. But I'll be back. I'll cover some free agency. I'll cover the draft. I'll cover whatever I possibly can with whatever time I've given by not being an adult with a job and responsibilities and all the other things. So for the last time this season, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for giving me just a little bit of your time. Approximately 40 minutes worth. Oh, y'all are nuts if you stayed this long. I hope that whatever team you're rooting for in these playoffs, they go and win the cup. Can only be for one of you. Me personally, I think I'm getting behind Team Winnipeg at this point. Go Jets. Why the hell not? Let's get Canada a cup. And Winnipeg seems like the way to go. But until I see you again for the offseason and the subsequent start of the 2025-2026 season, remember, go Bolts. It's a brand new season coming up. I'll see you then.